Hello, hi, good evening, everyone. Good evening. Hi, I'm Christine Crowell, and wow, today I want to talk to you about YouTube. I'm going to go on about YouTube because I'm trying to think of ways that's going to be quick and fast for yourselves as well. And not saying that everyone is going to have the same results, but I think if we're regular and we keep doing the same thing over and over, and I'm picking up from what the other small YouTubers are saying as well, and YouTube is actually a lot more easier than what it was when I was doing it back in 2013. Look, I've been through a long road. I didn't use YouTube the way I should have used it, or I could have used it. I only assumed that YouTube was for me to make appointments to get leads for my business, for example, as well as training. I did, I'm always doing training anyway because I love to do training. I love to do it. I love to talk a lot. So let's dive into it. So if you've got a YouTube channel and you feel that it's going a bit slower than what you expected it to, so stay tuned in because I'm going to give you some really good tips here. So, like I said, YouTube is completely changed. Not completely changed, but it's more as well. They're focusing more on small businesses, for example, small YouTubers, for example. And when I say that, I mean, if you've just started a YouTube channel, or maybe your channel has been going for years, a number of years, and you perhaps haven't done much with your channel, for example. And, like I was saying to a client of mine, for example, in America, and, I was saying, look, because I always speak to people anyway, and I was saying, look, why don't you go live? Why don't you do a video? Start doing a video and start doing it regularly. Not just a one-off thing. You've got to do it regularly. You've got to be consistent, and it's got to make sense. It's got to be helpful to those that are listening to you. So she then said to me, look, I'm going to give it until the end of the year, for example, December the 31st. I'm going to give it to the end of December the 31st, then that's it. I'm not doing any more because I just find it too hard. There's some days that I just don't feel like doing it. But for some reason, that's why I'm ringing and I'm speaking with you to give me some inspiration, because I know that you're going on daily. So I said to her, look, just watch what I'm doing and just do it. Just copy what I'm doing, for example, like going on live. I know we all do different subjects. I'm not saying that she copies exactly what I do, but do what she does well, for example. So she took my advice. So when I was going live, I noticed as well that she was also going live, or a video would pop up, for example, and I would like it if I saw it, for example. And at that time, she was at just over 100 subscribers. And then yesterday, she just hit over 1,000 subscribers, 1,005 subscribers. I think she's now at 1,200 subscribers, for example, or 1,017 subscribers, something like that. So she's doing really, really well. And this is the reason why I've come on here to tell you that YouTube, now she's now ready to be monetized. Now this is, how can I say it? For me, when I got to 1,000 subscribers, it took me 4 months. 4 months it took me to get to 1,000 subscribers. Now, bear in mind, I was on YouTube for 8 years, for example, and then 2 years ago, I thought, you know what? I'm going to get to 1,000 subscribers because I want to get monetized, right? That was in the back of my head. I want to get monetized, but also I want to have more omnipresence, for example. So it took me about 4 months to get to 1,000 subscribers. I think I've got a video on here like, yay, I got to 1,000 subscribers. Thank you very much, for example. Then I then became monetized as well. And then when you become monetized, you can then start getting paid for the ads that go on your videos. So I sent off my information, my ID, and got verified with Google, for example, and everything went well. And that was just like 2 months ago. So look how long it's taken me. And I could have done it ages ago, but because I was so busy focusing on the business side of things, it didn't click in my head again. I just thought, you know what, I just do my videos to get appointments. And don't get me wrong, when you got a business on YouTube, you can do videos and you will get appointments from your videos that you're doing. So YouTube is easy and it can make you money as well for your business, as well as on YouTube doing adverts. So it's very versatile. There's lots of different ways that you can make money on YouTube. You can make money on YouTube through sponsorship, you know, where a company actually sponsors you, for example, and you talk about their product maybe once in the video. But each time you do a video, you may say, I'm going to do it once, or maybe you're going to do it once a week, or every other week, or once a month, or whatever, for example. And you get paid, and they will pay you sometimes 500 to 2,500 each time, or even 5,000 each time you mention them as well. So there's a lot of big YouTubers out there that are doing really well from this as well. So there's lots of different revenue streams through YouTube that you can actually make money for. And this is the reason why I'm coming on here, to really help you to really understand and to get moving with this, because this is 2025, and you know, inflation, things have gone up. So you can beat inflation by doing additional income streams whilst you're still at home. You don't have to go running out, getting a job. I mean, you got a job. I'm not saying to give up your job, whatever it is you're doing, you stick with your job. But I'm saying you don't really have to look at going out to get an additional job, for example. And look, I've been there. I've had 3 jobs at one point, many years ago, because I needed to pay for things, for example. However, with YouTube, there's lots of different revenue streams. You can do videos where you're just being paid through the adverts that YouTube puts on your videos. They could put it at the beginning, the middle, and the end of your video. So that's why it's always good to do a video that's about 20 minutes or more, for example, to get as much ads on your video, for example. Now, another thing, once you become monetized, you can start approaching brand sponsorships, you know, brands that can sponsor you. And what will happen there is that you fill out a form and you have to send them your media kit, for example. I'm just going to grab my tea as I'm talking to you, because this is a fireside chat, even though I'm not next to the fire. But you can approach organizations to say, hey, you know, I've hit 1,000 subscribers. This is my channel, and my audience is this age group, you know, this particular region, for example, and I would like to become a sponsor, for example, for your products, for example, to showcase your products, to talk about your products. And then they'll either do a deal with you, or maybe they may not respond, for example. But there's lots of people that will respond. Sometimes people will come out and reach you directly. I get emails quite often for brand deals, but it has to, for me, it has to be something that resonates with me. Okay, I can't just sell something that I really don't know about or I don't believe in. So I have to feel a connection with it. So, for example, if I was to be offered a brand deal for Microsoft, for example, Teams, software, for example, insurance, business insurance, printing, for example, then, or they could be clothes, for example, because I love business clothes, for example, or even gym wear or sportswear, because I go walking, I do lots of walking, I'm very fit and I'm very healthy, for example. Supplements as well, which I'm going to start introducing, a really good supplement that I've been using, and it really has helped me. I'm 60 this year, right? So I need all the help I can get, right? That is natural, but I want to put natural things in my body, for example. And what I also want to do is like my cooking, because I love cooking, but I also I now love vegan food. So I'm looking at that option to do, because I'm planning on cooking a vegan meal tomorrow, so that you can see it, and it's going to be filmed as well. And you can get brand deals for, I've applied, I haven't even checked my email yet, I haven't even looked at my email because of the holidays, for example. But I even applied to do the like saucepans and really nice beautiful saucepans and oven pots and pans and aprons, that type of thing, to sponsor that, because whilst I'm doing my cooking show, I can be wearing those type of outfits, for example. That's why I would, I miss my mother dearly. I miss her dearly because she would love something like this. Mum would have just excelled in it, because A, she would have made her own aprons. B, she would have even made her own oven gloves. C, she would have made, the outfits and even the headsets to wear, the chef's hats. I'm looking for a chef hat, and I know that there are chef catering companies here in Cyprus, but I'm looking for something really special. So I've got to shop around and look around, because my brand is Christine's Holistic Kitchen, for example, but I also want to dress in a certain way, because I think it just adds a bit of adventure, because my cooking, I don't just want to be just a normal cook. I want to do multiple things. I want to be like a chef, even though I'm not a chef. I can cook. I believe I can cook just as good as a chef can cook, and I believe that's why a lot of people now are cooking from home, because they want to be able to learn how to cook. Because when you go out for a meal, you should only really go out for a meal perhaps once in a while, but I think a lot of these youngsters are going out for meals like 4 times a week, for example. But if they can learn how to cook some healthy meals, for example, then that's going to save them money, and then they've got money to save, so they're not struggling, for example. And the same with ourselves, with the inflation, everything's going up. Go out for a meal, but go out and enjoy yourself, and then you can cook some lovely meals at home, and then get yourself, even if you put money in a piggy bank or something, a savings box, the money that you would have saved for that week, for example, 10%, you know how much you spend on going for a meal. Yeah, you know how much you spend when you go out clubbing or whatever, for example. Depends what age you are, for example. You know how much you spend. Why not have friends round? And you know what? I always remember, and I will never forget this, when I came to Cyprus, me and the neighbours, we all met, the husbands and wives, we all met, and we were all from around the world. And what was so beautiful is that we all brought our special dishes, and we take it in turns going round each other's houses. This was on a complex in Cyprus, and it was so beautiful, tasting all the different foods that I'd never even tasted before, and it was home cooked. It was Lebanese food, Saudi food, it was Israel food, it was English food, Jamaican food, obviously, me, for example, and it was from all around the world. It was Indian food, it was just beautiful. African food, when I used to go to the hairdressers, they'd give you some African food. It's just beautiful. And it's so nice to taste food from around the world. And instead of going out for a meal, and I'm not trying to put any restaurants out of business, don't get me wrong, but if you can't afford it, then you can't afford it. Then get your friends to come round to you one week, and you cook your meal, right? Like a little buffet thing, and they bring their food as well, and everyone brings their food. And then you've got a wonderful night in with your friends. And how much did that cost you? And then you put that money that you would have saved, if it's two of you going out for a meal, for example, and put it in a savings, or in a savings account, for example. And then you've got that money that you've saved, and then you've got that money at the end of the year. Then you could see if you're saving, say, I'm just going to say something small, right? Because I know in the UK it's not. When you go out for a meal, you're probably spending what, 200? If you go out for a meal, two people. If you go to a nice restaurant, for example. But if you cook the food, and you've cooked the food, and it's a small amount, for example, because everyone's bringing in a dish themselves, for example. So everyone brings in a dish themselves. Excuse me, my eyelash. Something happened with my eyelash there. So everyone brings a meal for themselves, for example, and then they bring it, and you put it all out on the table. So it's like everyone's got a buffet. It's like a beautiful buffet that you've done. And you've probably spent, what, 20 pounds. So you've saved yourself, say, that's if you go out for a meal every week, okay? You've probably saved yourself, say, 120, right? So that 120 pounds, because it's two people. If it's two people, if it's one person, then it's, 60 pounds, for example, you may have saved, for example. And then that, you times that, and if you go out for a meal every week, okay? And I'm just saying this. So if you times that by 52, that's a savings of £6,240 that you're saving, or $6,240 that you're saving. That's a lot that can go in a savings account, and it's called a crisis fund or a rainy day fund, for example. And you imagine if you keep saving that, and if you save that for what, your child's at uni, for example, university, college, and you do for 5 years, for example, that's 31,200. That's money that they could have to put down on, depends where you live. I'm not saying London, because I don't think you'd be able to put much down on something in London, but they could either have that as rental, for example, or put it down on a mortgage. And if you did that, if that was done for even another 5 more years, for example, 10 years, that's 156,000 that you would have saved. That you could even use that for a retirement fund or something, or that 156,000 can then, I'm not an investor and I'm not a financial consultant, so please do not get this mixed up. I'm just talking as a woman, for example, that has got children that would do this, for example. So then you save that money, and then you can then put it into a proper account where you can get money that's accrued, some sort of interest, for example. And then that money then can be used to put down on a property or something like that. So I'm just talking to you in this way regarding the cooking, okay? And this is why I'm doing my cooking programs, so that you can learn how to eat healthily or for a good price. I can show you how to cook for under a tenner for 5 people, for example. My 1-pan dishes, like I did 1-pan chicken. You know, there's lots of 1-pan dishes you can do, for example. That's one example of saving money. And if you like to cook, then boy, you could be on YouTube making your own cooking program, just like how I cook once a week, twice a week, and I put it on YouTube, and I get ads on my videos, for example, for cooking. And then I'm attracting different people that may be interested in business, but they also like to cook. They're interested, or they may know someone that is a business person, for example. So I hope that that's making sense. Or what you could do with that money is you could use that and go on a beautiful holiday. Go to the Maldives for a week. You and your partner, all inclusive. Stay in a beautiful, hotel, for example. Or go to Disney, for example. There's lots of things you can do to treat yourself. Isn't it well worth saving that money? Because some people are going out for meals like 3 or 4 times a week, and you can save that money and you can eat just as good at home. The stuff that you want at the restaurant, cook it at home. It will be a fraction of the price, and put the money as savings into an account. It's going to get interest, so you can then have money to do what you truly want, for example. Or even just look at, little things that you can just cut back on. I'm not saying go without 100%. I'm just saying, like, to make it fun, like how we did Neighbours. We, every month, sometimes it was every week. Sometimes what would happen is we'd all bring a dish, one of our dishes that we've made that is from our culture. So we all would try different cultured food, and it was delicious. I was like, wow, I experienced some really delicious food. It was just amazing, absolutely amazing. We had Cypriot food, Greek food, there was Bulgarian food, all different types of food that we would experience with, and it was just delicious. And all it cost us was what we actually cooked ourselves. Isn't that well worth it than going out to some restaurant and then, say 10 people have spent 1,000, for example. I'm just saying off the top of my head, depends what restaurant you go to. But if 10 people, if each person, 2 people is, say £100, that could be 1,000, couldn't it? So think about it. If you're going out for meals, look at ways that you can save money, because we're in inflation, so we need to beat inflation but still have fun. We still want to have fun. We just want to be like, yay, let's have fun. Instead of going out in the cold, we can go out in the cold, go to someone's house, and we're all in a homely environment. Everyone's having fun, and we're experiencing different cultures. We're missing out on that. I'm not, but you could be possibly missing out on that, for example. So why not try that? That's one way that you can save money. But you've got YouTube, so you could do your cooking, and then you can have your adverts on there, and you've got money to, even if you want to go out for a meal, then you go out for a meal once a month. You get paid on the 21st. If you want to use that money for a meal, you can do, but put a bit aside for savings, at least 10%, for example, as a crisis fund. Yeah, so, you know, it is just something that you can do. So that's just one thing. If you're doing like the sponsorships, like these companies, these large companies, they're looking for people to, when they've got their video, like for example, I'm doing a video and then I would talk about a product that I use, for example, and then I would be paid for talking about that product. Can you imagine that you're talking about a product and you're being paid £500 every time you talk about a product? You may agree to say, right, okay, I'm going to speak about it once a week, or I'm going to speak about, they pay you according to the number of times that you mention it, and you have to say it for so many minutes, for example. But isn't that a good thing? If it's something that resonates with you, you know, if you're into sportswear, swimwear, you could wear it, you know, and then if you're on holiday, you put the swimwear on and you talk and you say, oh, by the way, I got this from blah, blah, blah. Here's the link in my description. Click it. Or it could be makeup, or it could be nail polish, for example, or it could be perfume, for example, or it could be creams, or it could be clothes, or it could be stationery, or it could be calendar, or it could be software. There's lots of different sponsorships that will use you. They really would. And I think it's such a good thing. So that is one way of earning money from YouTube. The second way is that you can actually sell your own products on YouTube. Passive income. You can either use a platform to sell their products, like I spoke in the passive income video here, for example, here that I did on YouTube here, where you can sell other people's products, i.e. T-shirts. You can perhaps see my products on here, for example, aprons. You could sell mugs, you can sell hoodies, you can sell cardigans, you could sell knitwear if you like knitwear. That's something that I'm looking at the moment, because I do like knitted wear, for example. You could have their products in your description, and then when someone clicks the link and they buy, then you get a percentage of the sale. You haven't got to deal with any packaging or any customer service, for example. Isn't that a good thing? And it's the same when you do a video on YouTube, for example, and you're talking and you get paid from the adverts. There's no customer service that you're dealing with. You haven't got products that you've got to service. All you got to do is show up on YouTube. And I love the butterflies, by the way. Thank you. Thank you. So think about all the different ways that you can earn money on YouTube. Education. Education is needed. People want to learn things on YouTube. Instead of, people are trying not to watch TV as much. You know, a lot of people are still watching TV, don't get me wrong, but I don't watch TV. The only time I watch it is if I'm watching a really good movie. Like the other day I watched Shirley Chisholm. She wanted to be the first black woman that was an American president. And this was in 1972. So Shirley Chisholm, she set the bar for all women, plus also black women, to apply to become president of the United States, that is. Now, I'm still waiting for this to happen in the UK as well. We haven't had a female prime minister. Well, we have had a female prime minister, sorry, apologies. In the UK we did. There was Maggie Thatcher and there was someone else, and I think they didn't last very long. Can't remember her name. But we haven't had a black female prime minister in the UK yet, and it would be nice if Kemi, the one that's conservative, but I'm not going to get political, but it would be nice to see that for a change. For example, also in America, like Shirley Chisholm, she applied to be the first black female president in the States, and she almost did it, and then something just went wrong. It went backwards. But you know what? It's like she said, she felt as if she won because she created the opportunity for others. So she paved the way for others to win one day. So we're waiting for that to happen. And as the last presidential campaign in America happened, that, you know, Miss Harris was trying, but she didn't get through. But, you know, at least we're getting somewhere. We're getting somewhere. And I know I kind of went off track there, but I just had to mention that, because instead of watching TV that is aggression and violence and things like that, try and watch some documentaries. Try and watch some educational stuff that's going to help your mindset, because we're living in strange times at the moment because the inflation. So some people may be feeling fearful and things like that. So we've got to look after our mindset. We've got to look after our wellness. We've got to look after our health, and we've got to look after our wealth as well, that we can, in the best possible way. And this is the reason why I'm saying YouTube. I cannot say it enough, because I know that it is working. I've been paid 2 months on the trot. I know it was only £100 each month, but it was still £100, you know, and that tells me that it's working, what I'm doing, for example. So now I'm up in the game. I also want to encourage you to do the same, just like with my client when I asked her to do her videos more regular, and she did. She started doing them daily, and she got to 1,000 subscribers, and I was so happy for her, because she works really, really hard, and she deserves the best, for example. And, you know, women over 50, we tend to think, oh, I don't think I could do that, I'm not sure, you know, but you can. We can all do it. It doesn't matter what the age we are, you know, we can. And now with the pensions that we're having to deal with, we don't know how much pension we're truly going to get when it comes to the pension time for us, because there's arguments going off left, right and centre in the UK about there's the wispy strikes that's been happening with the female women that want compensation for the pension amounts that they've lost. So we've got to try and look at what backup we can create so that we're not in a desperate situation. Like with the UK government, they've stopped the winter fuel allowance for pensioners, and they've been used to getting this money, for example. So same with in America, you know, the pension, when it comes to you, when it does come to your pension age, for example, and it's time to get your pension, is it really going to be enough for you to live on, to have a good life? Because our pension, we always see it as it's a time to relax, we're going to live a good life, you know. But what's happening is when people come to pension age, they get their pension, but it's just enough to live on. And you've worked so hard for so long, and you're just getting a little bit. That's not right. So this is why I'm talking about this YouTube thing, because there are women on YouTube that are over 50 and over 60, pensioners, 70 years old, even 80 years old. They are on YouTube and they are making some really, really good money. A lot more money than what they were doing when they was actually working. So they get their pension, but they're also getting on top this YouTube money, and they're just doing videos once a week. They're not even, or even twice a week. They're not doing like daily, and they're not like pumping out 5 videos a day, for example. So I know that this works, and this is why I'm so passionate about it. If you are young and you're working, you could be working as a cashier or whatever, then do some YouTube, do your work. Don't give up your job. I'm not saying to anybody to give up their work, because that is not really the right thing to do. Keep working and do this on the side. Do it as a passive income. Like me, I'm here at night time, aren't I? Well, I'm in Cyprus, so I start at 9 o'clock, where I do a YouTube video, or I do a YouTube video while I'm walking. And I walk for an hour and a half each day. So I can do a video, and I could actually do 2 or 3 videos if I wanted to. But I always like to look at my surroundings and enjoy nature and things like that. Then I'll shoot a quick video, or I may even do 2. Depends how inspirational I feel, and whether it's going to be something that will benefit you. So I try and shoot it whilst it's fresh in my mind. So think about the things that you can do on YouTube. Like I said in my video earlier, my mum, she would have loved it. She would have loved it. And I said to her, I said, Mum, you should go on YouTube, even though I should have gone on YouTube when I was telling her that. I set up my YouTube channel. I was going, yeah, Mum, it's really great. You should do it, because my mum, when she was alive, she was a pensioner. She was just knitting, or she'd be making something, So I was saying, Mum, you should go on YouTube. You could sell your products on YouTube. And she's like, oh, I'm not gonna show my face on YouTube. I said, you don't have to show your face on YouTube. Just show your products. Just they can just see your hand. They don't need to see your face. I said, you do really well. And she's like, well, I don't know what to call it. I said, call it Crafty Daphne, because her name was Daphne. My mum's name was. So she was like, oh, I like that name, because she loved, in America, there's this shop where you can get crafts. It's a craft store, and it's called Michael's. So she always used to go there every weekend. It's like she'd have to go there and just get some ribbons, some thread, or some knitting needle, or wool, or some fabric, or flowers, because she'd make some beautiful things. It was amazing what she used to make. And if you are into crafts, that is a shortage, I believe, on YouTube. There's not enough people doing it, and people that are doing it are doing extremely well. So if you enjoy crafts, then why not sell your products and doing that? And you can even do a digital product showing how you made that product. But not everyone's got time to make the product, so they'll ask you to make the product for them, so then you can sell your products. So that is another way that you can make money on YouTube easy. And when I say easy, I mean easy. Like when you do these videos, for example, you can have a link for people to buy, or you can have a link for people to have a meeting with you, and then they can then talk to you and see your face on Zoom, for example, or Teams. And then you can get them to join your program. You could do a group coaching program, because you could have a group of people that want to do knitting and learn how to do knitting, and you can do live classes. People don't necessarily want to be watching TV. They want to do something. Or if you're an artist, wow. If you're an artist, you could be showing people how to do some beautiful drawings, for example, and get them to buy. You can show them where to get the equipment from. Then you can get paid for the link. For example, each time they buy the equipment that you've asked them, or you can provide the equipment and sell them as a in a box, for example, and here's your starter pack. I will be having on here in a couple of weeks, for example, a lady who designs with moss, and her name's Laura, and she will be doing a YouTube, for example, about how to make products with natural earthy products like moss, that's nature. It's very environmentally friendly, it's very healthy, it's good for you, it's good for the environment. There's just something special about holding moss in your hand, moss that's in the sea, or on the ground, for example, once it's been dried and treated and things like that. And it comes in different colors, so I just wanted to mention that. So like she's going to be selling boxes of the moss for you to be able to create your products, and she'll be doing a class with it online with you, and you can create these, and children can even create these products, for example. So there's lots of different things that you can do on YouTube to make money. Just like I said, there's the sponsors, but there's also products. If you can create a product, then you can do a digital product, or you could do coaching. Like I do coaching programs where I coach clients in business, for example, that want to do a business, so I'll coach them in business, for example. Or I do boot camps where once a month they join my boot camp, my business boot camp. Usually it's healthcare, for example, and they then attend the 5-day boot camp, or it's a 3-day boot camp, and it's online, and we start at 9 o'clock and we finish at 5 p.m., for example. And I charge a fee from £397 to £597, £999. It depends what product it is. For example, if it's a group coaching session for 12 weeks, then it's £2,999, for example. If it's a one-to-one coaching, for example, then it is £4,999, for example. So I'm just explaining to you about, if you've got a special gift and you're an expert at something, then you can make money on YouTube. If you've been training people, if you've been a manager, if you've been a supervisor, or if you a nurse, for example, you could do health, in terms of consulting, health consulting, medical conditions, for example, nurse practitioner. There's lots of things you can do. For example, you create a course and you can make money from that. But with YouTube, you can also make good money from ads. All you got to do is do a video, and then you just talk. It's got to resonate with people, for example. You got to help people, and then YouTube will pay you. And there's people, they're getting like 5,000 a month, they're getting 10,000 a month, some are getting 20,000 a month, some are getting $40,000 a month, for example, and some are getting more, but I'm just seeing the normal amounts, and that's why I'm mentioning that. And some are getting 2,000-3,000 a month, for example. So that's something that you can look at as well. And you can get monetized probably within 3 months, for example. You don't need to take as long as me. It took me 4 months to get monetized, for example. Although I had my YouTube channel since 2013, for example, it was 8 years later that I was like, oh, I should look at this monetization thing. What is this? I didn't know what it was. I was like, let me find out. I'm going to do 1,000 subscribe. I'm going to get 1,000 subscribers. I think I had 500, or actually it was probably around about 300 and something. And then I got to 1,000 subscribers, and it took, I believe 4 months, and I was like, yay, I've got 1,000 subscribers, thank you so much, blah blah blah. I was like, and I've got the watch time. I was like, right, I'm now, because you have to have 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours watch time, for example. So I got that, then I got monetized. But then that took me, I started looking at that in August last year. So again, I took my time, I delayed again because I was focusing on my business, and also I had my twin brother who passed away in 2023. So I was going through a lot of changes in my life, and I had to take on a team so that I could still run my business without my business being affected, for example, whilst I was grieving, but still being involved in the business, but not being, so full on, for example. So there's so many ways. Like with me, I delayed things, and I could have made it a lot quicker, but that's just how it was, and it wasn't the right time. But now is the right time, and I want to be able to show you how to do it. So what I want to do is challenge you to go live, but I want to also help you to decide what is it that you want to talk about. YouTube, from what I'm hearing from those that are doing really successful, they're saying that YouTube is wanting you to talk about YouTube, because YouTube is obviously the ones that have got the advertisers that want to sell their products on your channel. For example, when you place an advert, for example, that is one way. For example, the other way is if you've got a business, for example, or maybe if you are working and you want to talk about day in life, working as a bus driver, for example, or day in life working as a food delivery or courier service or cashier. There's lots of different jobs that you can be talking about on YouTube. So I really want to say to you all that there's lots of different ways that you can make money on YouTube. If you are an accountant, talk about finance, because you know it properly, don't you? For example, if you are a mum, what is it that you can talk about that's going to help other mums, for example? And then your products can be, your adverts can be on your YouTube video, for example. If you are a relationship coach or something like that, you can talk about what is it like doing the type of job that you're doing. What is it like? Me, if I was to do what's it like being a coach, for example, day in life of a coach. I've showed you the good parts, but I should also show you the bad side of things, so that you know that there's a reality thing here, because not everything is rosy all the time. There's going to be good days and there's going to be bad days, just like with anything in life. And I think it's important that we look at what we feel comfortable with sharing as well, because we're not here to just give all of our information, all of our private things, because there's some things you keep to yourself, because it's for you and your body only, and your mind only, for you to, and your family. So you don't have to give away all of your self, because you got to hold something back, because otherwise how will you feel if you're just blurting everything out and you're not giving anything for yourself that's private? because there's some things that are private in your life, for example. So be mindful what you share as well on YouTube as well, because you don't need to give everyone all of your business. So just be mindful of that. You know, I'd love to know what your comments are in terms of what is it would you like to do on YouTube? What do you think that you would be good doing on YouTube? Will you be good at just doing YouTube videos and then talking about a certain subject and then being paid for adverts and getting a residual income every, well, if you, providing that you meet the monthly amount, which is 70, I think it's £70, for example. It could be $100, for example, each month, in order for them to pay you on the 21st of each month. So you've got to always meet that monthly target, and you'll be paid every single month. Now, what would $100 do for you each month? It will pay for something, won't it? It would help in some way. For example, it can help you for transport. It can help with your petrol money for the month, for example. There's lots of things you can do with that, you know, and you could get more if you do your videos regularly and it's relatable, for example. So you can talk about how YouTube has helped you. What did you do with the money that you got from YouTube? You could say, well, I went shopping. You can even go to the supermarket, for example, or go to a shopping mall and say, this is what I spent my money on that I got from YouTube, you know, or this is the food shopping that I got from YouTube, and you put it on the table, your countertop, and you say, right, this is what I got for $100, for example, and this is what I'm going to cook for the week. Or did this $100, is this enough for what, 5 days, for example? Or was you frugal with it, or did you just buy some luxury items? Did you do a pamper day? Maybe you went and, you know, had a pamper day. Maybe you went and had your nails done, or maybe you had your hair done, or maybe you had a massage, or maybe you went to a spa for half the day or something like that, or maybe you paid for something, or you brought a nice top, or you brought a nice outfit or a handbag. You know, what did that money that you got from YouTube, what did you use it for example? So that would be a good YouTube subject to talk about. So you could start your channel that way, for example. Another one is you create a product for yourself. You know, if you know how to create a digital product where you record it, or you do live classes, that's another way to make money from YouTube. Another way to make easy money to make from YouTube is get sponsorships. Once you get monetized, for example, then you start approaching the sponsors, because you'll have like a list of sponsors you could start looking for, and then approaching them, letting them know that you're now available. There's that as well. You can also collaborate with other YouTubers. You can also do affiliate products. You can sell products. You could do Amazon. Amazon is very good as well, because you could talk, and then you could have whatever it is you're talking about, as long as the products are related to what you're talking about, you could then have those products on your description with the link Amazon, create an Amazon store, and then, you know, you get paid that way, as well as the adverts that are on YouTube. So you're getting paid double, for example, or you could even get paid 3 times. So if you're doing your business, for example, if you're doing Amazon sales, and then you're doing sponsorship, that's 3 things. And then you've got your adverts from YouTube, for example, that's paying you. So that's 4 things that you're doing. So this is the reason why I've said here that YouTube is actually easy to make money, and that's why I've done this live stream. So I'd love to hear your comments. I would love to hear what you're thinking of doing, because what I also want you to, it'd be nice to hear that some of you are actually thinking of saving some of that money and putting it into a fund, you know, some sort of fund or savings, for example, so that you're building some savings, for example, some finance savings. So there's lots of different things that you can use the money for. I'm just giving you some options that is giving you some thought processes to think about what it is that you want to do with that money. Maybe you want to go on a plane and just get away for a week, just travel. Use that money to travel. Maybe I get paid once a month from YouTube. That money, what I could do is I could go away for 3 days, stay in a hotel or an Airbnb, for example, and just chill, take some time out, and even film parts of it as well. That's another YouTube video content. So there's so many different ways that you can make money from YouTube, and that's the reason why I'm here doing this video. So if you've really enjoyed this video, or if it's helped you, or share it with someone that you know that would benefit from this video, for example, I would love for you to hit like. I would love for you to subscribe as well for more further discussions of how you can make money, for example, on YouTube or any of the other platforms, which I will be going through with you on that, because I've done it before. I've been selling on Amazon, I've done drop shipping, I've done lots of different things. I always laugh when I hear that saying, jack of all trades, master of none. But what that actually if you really look at what that really means, it's a positive. It is that jack of all trades, master of many. Do you want to be that type of person that can do plenty of things good? Not extremely 100%, but good, for example. Now, that's me. I like to do different things. I get bored. Just like I've been in business for 40 years, but I've done many, many businesses. Some have been good and some of them have been bad. But anybody that knows me, they know that I've always been kind of like hyper anyway from when I was a child. Look, when I was 5 years old, I was in Sheffield with the family, and I just walked outside the house in Sheffield, a busy centre, because I got bored of sitting in the house. So I've always been active, always. All my family will tell you, where's Christine? I was always out and about. I was hyperactive, and I'm not ashamed to say that I was hyperactive. That's why I'm hyperactive in my business, because I've got, people always say, where'd you get your energy from? You got so much energy. And I do, I have got a lot of energy, and I'm glad I have got a lot of energy, because I can do this. I don't drink alcohol, and I haven't done so for years, for example. But I've always been hyper. Always. But in a good way. In a good way. And like I said, I like to do different things. I'm not just, you can't just pigeonhole me into one thing. I will not do that. I like to spread my wings. I am the eagle. I literally am the eagle that flies and soars high. Just like the eagle is like looking high up, 5 kilometers down, seeing everything. that is me. And then I swoop down and choose what I want. And, you know, I've got the eagle mentality, and I'm sure that you do too. But I'll tell you the story of the eagle, that the eagle, when it gets to 40 years old, the eagle decides whether it wants to live or die. The reason why is because when it's 40 years old, its beak bends. You know, it goes crooked. Its feathers become really heavy. So it's really hard for the eagle to fly because it's heavy. The feathers are so heavy, it weighs it down. And it struggles to survive. So the eagle has to make a decision to go up high in the mountains where it can't be reached, for example. Imagine. And it finds a rock and it breaks its beak on this rock until its beak comes off. It must be so painful. The most painfulest thing I couldn't even imagine. Well, I can imagine it, but the strength from this eagle. And from its breaking its own beak, it grows a new beak and it becomes new again. And then it uses that beak to pull out its talents and its feathers. The painful transformation. I mean, the butterfly is a painful transformation, but this is a huge painful transformation. And the eagle stays up in the mountains for a couple of months, I think up to 5 months, till it's renewed again and it's strong. And then it's able to fly like a young eagle again. That's why the Americans have the eagle as its symbol, because then that eagle can live for another 30 years. So an eagle can live up to 70 years, which is very unusual for a bird, for that creature, that type of creature to live that long. So I always see it as I have the eagle mentality. And that eagle is then stronger than what it was before. And it is able to live till another 30 years. But it had to make that decision to go through the most painful process in order to grow. And sometimes we have to go through pain in our lives to grow and develop from that, to become stronger. And that's what I want for you. I want you to become the eagle and to use YouTube, because they're looking for small creators. They've got a team that's been allocated for small creators like you, and they want to promote you. They want to promote you in the algorithms so that your stuff gets seen. And then you then are able to make money from YouTube. It's such an amazing time for you. This wasn't like that years ago. So you're all at a fortunate time that you can do this. So I'd love to hear your stories about your YouTube channel, and what type of YouTube channel will you be looking at doing, or what do you think would resonate with you the most? Promoting YouTube, or promoting your own products, or promoting other people's products? So I just wanted to share with you. I wanted to talk about the client who, got to 1,000 subscribers within, just over 30 days. And I'm so pleased for her. God bless you all. Thank you so much for being here today. I hope that you've enjoyed it. Please subscribe to my channel if you enjoyed what I had to say. Share, hit the notification bell when you can. And I look forward to speaking to you tomorrow. If you're able to join me tomorrow, I do come on here live and I also do my videos during the day as well, because I want us all to grow as well. All right, so take care everyone. Have a wonderful evening. Take care. Thank you. Goodbye.